Greetings from Christian News and Interviews. And so the city of Baltimore is being sued. Thank goodness. They're no longer teaching children to read, really. Now, check this out. Baltimore parents sue city after student graduates high school not being able to read. Shocking number of students have failing grade point averages. Two parents in Baltimore, Maryland, have filed a lawsuit against their city and its school district in response to shocking reports about the progressive city's abject failure to educate children. Earlier this year, local news outlet WBFF TV highlighted the story of a woman who graduated from Baltimore City Public School System without being able to read. The outlet also found a whopping 77% of high schoolers at one area high school were reading at an elementary level. Another report discovered that in the past, 41% of BCP's high school students earned below a 1.0 grade point average. This is terrible, Giovanni Patterson said at the time after hearing about the reports. This is just further perpetuating a cycle of poverty, of despair. Around the same time, Patterson and his wife, Shonda, decided to take legal action against the local government. They felt like filing a lawsuit was the only way they could get the city's attention. In a recent interview with the Daily Signal, the Patterson said, quote, there's really no other recourse a citizen in Baltimore could take. We don't elect our school board, so there's no way we could both be appointed members of the school board. There's nothing that people can really do outside of a lawsuit to affect change or request access into the inner workings of what's going on in Baltimore. Okay, I'm going to now share the screen. Okay. So it's no secret that there's a relationship between incarceration and low literacy. Listen to this. Politicians and journalists often claim prison planners use third grade reading scores to predict the number of future prison beds needed. While it has been found this claim is mostly urban myth, there is, in fact, a strong connection between early low literacy skills and our country's exploding incarceration rates. Now, let me pause and say this article is not totally true. It is not a myth. The truth of the matter is, if you're not reading by the third grade, the probability of you going to jail triples. Where else are you going? You can't even read. 85% of all juveniles who interface with the juvenile court system, listen to this, are functionally low literate. Juvenile incarceration reduces the probability of high school completion and increases the probability of incarceration later in life. High school dropouts are 3.5 times more likely than high school graduates to be arrested in their lifetime. High school dropouts are 63% more likely to be incarcerated. I don't blame these students for dropping out. If you're going to school and they are not even in a position to teach you how to read, what is the purpose of going? This is shameful. It's absolutely shameful. According to a special report, Early Warning from the Ann Casey Foundation, the process of dropping out begins long before high school. It stems from loss of interest in middle school, often triggered by retention in grade, and that in a great many cases, is a result of not being able to read proficiently as early as fourth grade. So, why would this article start off by saying that it's a myth that if you're not reading by third grade, you're going to end up in jail? That doesn't make any sense, because right after saying that, they then go on and cite statistics showing that that's exactly what happens. Why am I interested specifically in Baltimore? Well, I was born and raised in Baltimore. I received an outstanding education in Baltimore. Now, I will be honest and admit that by the time I went into kindergarten, I was already reading. I started reading at about the age of 3. However, my friends could read, and they were all Baltimoreans. We all went to school together. So there was a time, all my siblings, there's 6 of us, all of us can read. None of us have ever had any problems reading. My cousins can read. My friends from Baltimore can read and are educated. So there was a time in Baltimore where we received an outstanding education. But Baltimore has gone from educating students to not even bothering it to teach them how to read. And so it begs the question, why would an 11th or 12th grader waste their time going to school if that school system didn't even teach them the basics of being able to read? This is shameful. And Baltimore should be ashamed. Baltimore years ago had I think it was in the 1980s when Kirk Schmoke was in office. They had a motto, and their motto was Baltimore, the city that reads. What happened to that? Back then, people were reading. So Baltimore's hiring a bunch of babysitters. And I'm sure that these babysitters are saying things such as, well, the parents don't come to the PTA meeting. Well, I never see the mother when I call home. I remember going to a meeting once, and there was a guest speaker there from, I believe she was from New York. And she said something I'll never forget. She was she was like one of those educators who had won a lot of awards. I can't remember her name, but I remember what she said. And one of the things she said was, as an educator, as a principal, and as she rose above being a principal, okay. But she was saying that one thing she always believed in as an educator and beyond was that you cannot control what goes on in that child's home, but you can control what goes on inside of your classroom. And so regardless of the type of home that child may be from, you as a teacher have the responsibility to teach that body that's sitting in front of you. And if you can't do that, then you need to quit and find a different career path. So as I said, I really hope that Baltimore is awakened by this lawsuit. I really hope that they lose and that they will have to pay out some parents. And I really hope that more parents will step up to the plate and demand more. Stay tuned.